So hello, I am Charles Batson. I'm a professor here at Union College. I'm in my office at Union College, and I am going to have the extreme pleasure today of introducing the first episode in the series, Journeys Through Queer Circus. I am thrilled to be able to start this series. I am thrilled to be able to have this collaboration with CircusTalk. I am thrilled that CircusTalk reached out and said, we need to listen to queer voices, LGBTQ circus artists and creatives. We need to hear their stories. We need to hear about their realities. I was excited that they reached out to me because I get to be able to talk to some of the most fascinating people on the planet. We'll be starting with two people today with differing experiences, crossing boundaries of multiple sorts, linguistic, cultural, artistic, creative, experiential, identity, and we get to talk to each other. I'm the thrilled one who can do that. I also think that you might be thrilled, you, the listeners and the watchers, will be excited to hear what they have to say and to start this journey through queer circus together. So with that in mind, why not launch into the conversation? So can I invite Maré and Diego to turn on their cameras and to join us?
Hello.
Hi, hello guys.
How brilliant to see both of you on my screen, and I'm thrilled that people will be hearing your stories today. So I know that the two of you prepared a little paragraph, so you will watch me look at that paragraph just slightly below and I'll read it. But please do fill out anything that you want to add to this. So Maré Oliveira is a body artist with emphasis in circus arts. They develop a research practice that has as a goal to promote intersections between the circus arts and the Afro-Brazilian cultures. Maré has a degree in social communication and currently is studying arts and theater. Maré also has a presence in the contemporary circus scene in Brazil and has participated in several festivals and encounters around the country. In addition to her practice and research, Maré also works with arts education. So Maré, do you want to add anything to that?
Hello, hi Charles. Hello guys. So that's it. My name is Maré. I'm from Brazil and I'm 29 years old and I work with Circus since 2017, 2018, like a professional, but I'm studying Circus since 2015. And my specialty on Circus is aerials, acrobacies, and I have a research that I'm trying to mix and to find intersections between circus arts and the Afro-Brazilian cultures. And we have dance, we have a lot of dramaturgies and narratives. So I'm trying to make this dialogue between these both arts. And I'm very happy to be here with you guys. And I think that we have a really nice conversation today.
I'm so thrilled. I'm so thrilled. So thrilled that you've already given us some fascinating details to pick up in the conversation in just a minute. So could I ask, so could I ask Diego to come back onto the camera just to have people meet you? Hello, Diego, and then welcome back with the magic of these technologies. So Diego Fernando Martinez is a professional circus artist and actor with international performance experience, as well as an instructor of acting and performing arts in social projects and other contexts. He has demonstrated leadership skills to the direction of theater and circus performances and shows, and further explores professional experience and teamwork, and exhibits creativity through artistic creation of concepts and stories for performances, design of costumes and materials. Tell us more, Diego.
Hello, yeah, as you said, I'm Diego Martinez, 41 years old now. I'm from Colombia, from the National Circus School, Circo para Todos, Circo for Everyone. And yeah, but that's not my only background. I come from the theater background, so I had a degree in theater and like European theater, contemporary theater, or how can we call it? And then I moved into circus, and then I did the degree in circus in the National Circus School. And what else can I say about me? I've been working since I graduated, traveling around the world with my profession. And the last 8 years, I was living in London, performing in cabarets, and I did LGBTQ plus circus show, and it was quite interesting with the Roundhouse. So that was one of the great experiences I had in London. And yeah, is there anything that I can say?
Is there more? We know there's going to be a lot more. So we'll pick up to that in just a minute. So thank you. Thank you, Diego. So so now we'll do the magic of technology. Diego will disappear and Maré will come back.
Wow. Magical.
It is kind of magical, to be honest, and I'm just so thrilled that the magic can happen to have the cameras that are bringing us together. So you are currently in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, right? And Diego is in Spain. So so it's, and I'm in New York. So it's fun to be able to do this. So now, Maré, let's do a little bit more. So you have this fascinating profile as a circus artist, queer identified, LGBTQ identified, exploring Afro-Brazilian cultures and expressions. Delighted to hear about this. And I guess I'm interested currently, because you mentioned a few of those things, if you could talk a little bit more maybe about what we should really know about your work, about those things that come together. Is there anything that the world needs to know?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that the world needs to know. So I have a degree in social communications, and I had this degree on 2013. So I work on agencies of publicity for 6 years, and I was like with a routine that I wasn't so happy with, because I was like 8 hours per day sitting and behind a computer and doing like office stuffs, and I wasn't enjoying so much. And I was like, since I was a child, I was studying arts and theater at school, and I really enjoyed this, but I was like afraid to follow this career because I was thinking that was too difficult, too hard. So I went to publicity, but I didn't enjoy it so much. And then I start to go back to the arts and start to go back to study this. And then I entered in a circus school, and I really love it. And I was like doing everything so well, and it was so pleasure and everything. And so I start to learn and learn more about circus, and I was started to live my other career, or maybe taking this by the side, you know, like I was start to focus in circles. So now I study in a university here in São Paulo. It's the University of the State of São Paulo, and I am studying theater. And there we have a circus tent, and this is very nice because I can do both. And so when I start to make my scenes on circus, I was noticing that we have few people like me, you know, like here in Brazil, we have the social circus, and that they can have like more diversity on site them. But we have, I'm talking about schools, okay? And we have like the schools that you pay for it. And when I started, I haven't the age to enter in a circus, a social circus, because normally they are for young people and kids. And then I had to pay for my studies. And on this, like, we have a lot of social problems here in Brazil, so we don't see like Black people. And it's interesting that like a aerial acrobacies, we have more women, you know, like people that understands themselves as women doing in Brazil. And then I was like seeing that I was like the only Black person on the stage. And I was like, okay, so there's something wrong here. And then I was like to have to create a scene, like a presentation of circus for this school. And then I was like, okay, I don't want to just like do what everyone is doing, you know, like all the other girls, like the white girls was with some kind of subjects on their presentation, and I was trying to do more, you know, like more, no, like something different. I don't think it's more, because I think all the works are nice, but like something different. And then I start to research and trying to mix my people cultures with the circus artists, like with the circus techniques. So I study some kind of Afro-Brazilian dances and some kind of Afro-Brazilian rhythms and musics. And then I try to put this on the circus. And it's a very difficult thing, because I think circus is really technique. Like you have to do this with your leg like this. And now I'm trying to do the other things, you know, like try to find what we can do besides that.
So research and creation that's melding and going in so many different directions all together. I'm finding the blending and the intermingling that you're talking about to be really quite thrilling. So maybe a follow-up question to that is, can you speak to us maybe about your experience, your own experience as a queer artist, doing that kind of research and work and creativity on stage? Can you speak to that, maybe that reality, and what drives you, what's your passion as a queer artist on stage, maybe?
Okay, so like 2 years ago, I started to understand myself as a non-binary person. And then I was like, but I was already on this research with Afro-Brazilian cultures and everything. But I started to know a lot of queer people working on circles in Brazil, a lot of trans people too. And like I start to see the works and the presentations, and noticing this gender subject really present, really on their presentations. But in my job, I don't do this. At least I haven't done this yet. I'm focused on Afro-Brazilian cultures, because it's something that like is very interesting for me. But anyways, like when I am on stage, I am a queer person on the stage. Doesn't matter what I'm doing, doesn't matter if I am talking about gender or if I'm talking about like the bird on my window, you know, I am always a queer person on the stage and a Black person on the stage. And I think that our bodies, they show and they mean a lot of things when we see a person. Like we sometimes has an idea about it, this person, just to see them, you know, and sometimes this is not good. And so my experience in being a queer person on Circus is that, like, when I go to encounters, when I go to festivals, I see that we are like few people over there, like we are the minority, you know, because that's it. I think this place sometimes they are not accessible for people like us. Sometimes we have an encounter that everybody goes together to the same place and it's like a camping. And I already saw people like friends of mine having problems with the bathroom because they are trans people and they have problems with bathroom, or sometimes they suffer transphobic, you know, transphobia. I think you can understand this. Yeah, the prejudice. So this kind of problems, and we see the like people that are not queer, they are not trans, like white people, like cis. You understand cis in English? Cis people, they are like sometimes they have more presence on this place, like they have more space on the scene of circus. So this is my experience being a queer people, that we we have to fight sometimes to be on certain places, you know, like to exit, like do our job and everything.
Thank you for those words, for that reminder of that reality. In the space of creativity and the glory of art that happens, there's struggle, and that's a part of the reality. Can we maybe turn to some of the beauty actually in your own creativity? So I would love to play, you shared a clip with me that I want to share with the world, if I can, of some of your work. Before we play it, and a heads up to those that are watching us, it'll last about 3 minutes or so. Do you have a title for this work? Do you have a title for this work?
I have a title to this work. Let me think this in English.
Yeah.
Like on my way to the sea, on my way to the ocean, something like this.
Extraordinary. And I think that I know that I'm going to want to pick up a conversation about some of the melding of the influences and your research that you had been talking about. But now we get to watch it. Now we get to experience it.
Yeah, let's see.
Quando eu morrer, voltarei para buscar os instantes que não vivi junto do mar. O choro o choro
I love this.
Hi, well, you have every reason to love that. There are so many strong moments, so many strong moments. The working through space and the dramatic work. It's the theatricality. I'm moved. I'm moved, and I want to go to the sea with you when you do that. So, tell us more maybe about some of those inspirations in the actual piece and the research and the creation that happened.
I think the main influence of my work is my family. It's my grandmother, and I really like to talk with my grandmother and to listen to her stories and all the things that she done in her life, and like what she likes, what she laughs on it, what she wants to see when she goes to a theater or something like that, and her culture. I really like to talk with my mom too. So she's a really big influence, because like this scene is, I have some inspirations and some influence on religions from Afro-Brazilian culture. And like my mom, she follows a religion like that. And since I was a child, I was with her to the ceremonies and everything. And it's very special for me and for my family. So this presentation I did with a lot of informations from my mom and from her faith and our faith. So I have like my family influences, but I also have some influences from another artists here in Brazil. We have like, I know a lot of people that thinks a circus uh, similar to me, and then like people also creating with Afro-Brazilians perspectives and reference. So I can maybe say the name of them, but I don't know, because it would be really nice that you know them, like Vanessa Rosa. She works with comicity, like funny things with Afro-Brazilian references. And we have Cibele Mateus as well. And we have Guilherme Awazu, and he works with stilts, stilts. And he dances break dance with stilts, and this is really nice. We have like Star Tapioca. She does the same with stilts, and she dances like somebody cook with it. So there's a lot of people, and probably it's impossible to say all the names, but in Brazil we have a lot of people thinking like this, how to put our reference in a circus artist that sometimes is still too like outside here, like the reference sometimes are from Europe or from North America or Canada, and here some people are trying to put our reference on circus creation.
A lot. A lot. And a shout out to all of those persons who have offered those inspirations, those light in your firmament, those lights in your universe. Celebrate them. I know we're going to have more of a conversation in just a minute, but what a glory to discover your work and to hear the thinking that's going behind it. So let's talk to Diego a little bit. Let's talk to Diego. So with the magic of technology, we'll say goodbye to Maré, and we will say hello to Diego.
Hello.
And hello back to you, Diego.
Yes.
That's really fascinating work, isn't it?
Yes. I love it. We have some similar experiences in Colombia, especially my city. I think it's the Afro capital of South America, the Afro descendant capital.
So
And
maybe
a lot of problems.
why don't we take a springboard off to that then? So yeah, maybe you're already starting. What do we need to know about Diego's world? What do we need to know about Diego's experiences and life as an artist? What does the world need to know about you?
In general, well, I already said it. Well, I started doing theater when I was like a teenage, like 15, 16 years old, and I moved after 1, 2 years into the professional school of theater, and I never stopped learning and working. One of the main methodologies I use through my life is learning something and then teach it the next day, something like that, to learn it twice. So that was the whole thing. And even with the circus, it was something similar about that learning and teaching, learning and sharing whatever knowledge you were getting from your teachers or your maestros or professors. And yeah, when I moved to Circus, it was actually great because the Circus opened up a big window, because in theater in general in the world is very restrictive, you know, like dance. Like for you as an artist, you have to be certain high or this or that, hey, to have, you know, like or skin color or whatever to be able to have some castings, you know, some success in some castings. Sometimes it's not about if you're a good or no, a good actor or no. So that is a big problem being an actor in Colombia or in England or anywhere, because I tried castings and I don't like castings, but I did a few, and always that was the problem, that they were giving you what uh, suits you because of your features, not because of your talent, you know. So in Circus is the opposite. Circus is, you know, you develop a talent, you learn a skill or something, however you want to call it, and then you become good at it, and then you shine with it, you know. So that was a good thing about the Circus. Of course, there is many things in Circus that are still developing, you know. But yeah, and then we're talking about queer. I'm personally don't identify myself as queer, because that's a word that resonates for me. Like when I was little and I was bullying as being slightly different, but I never define myself because into that word. I don't really like that word. When everyone started using it as something like cool, I was like, ugh, that word is like, you know. Also the pronouns thing, like calling him, she, they. I think we shouldn't use them at all. You know, we already have a name, the finance of male or female, which is already wrong. But I think the name is okay for me. My name is okay, but I already accepted. You know, it's legal, it's in the papers. I cannot change it into something neutral, you know. So that's why the word queer doesn't really resonate with who I am. Though I respect the people that are doing it, and the bravery, or how can I say it, you know, like to say, oh, I'll do. But actually I was researching what is being queer, what is doing a queer, what is this? Because I know I can be into that title or however you're calling it, but I'm personally don't like to when people put myself into boxes, and that is making already a mistake of putting again people into a box. Oh, we are the black, we are the queer, and it shouldn't be like that. That is my point of view. It's the same with white people, black people. This kind of, it shouldn't be. It's people. We're all human beings, and that's it. That's the end of the conversation, you know. I was going to show you. I found it just right now, a picture of me when I was like, I don't know if you can see it with the light, when I was like 6 years old. So you can see my feet slightly turning into it. I was very shy kid, you know. Well, my hair was slightly straight than is now. Now it's wavy curly, so no straight at all. So showing you that picture, I was with my grandmother, but I didn't want to show my grandma. Of course, I was very queer or very calm or whatever way you're gonna call it. I was, but it was really hard to be, let's call it different. I was different from the rest of those boys in the group that, you know, when you go to play in the street football, you have to play football. You must play football, or you must play whatever they're gonna play. Otherwise, if you do something different, or if you sit with the girls, you were bullying. That was, I grew up with that, and you know, I never got really offended, because we have to kind of be strong and fight back. That's the way how we grew up in Colombia. So that was psychologically, it didn't really affect me that much. Few people, yes, few people, they were really intense in the way of they were bullying, probably because they were, or inside themselves, they were already hiding something. And I understand that. Some people really, they were annoying, but the other people, I was just confronting them sometimes. And you have to fight in Colombia. You have to kind of fight with whoever you are. So that was me, little. And the same when I was in the theater school, it's like, oh, but you're doing this too calm. This is too calm. This is to this. So that's why for me that worked. Though I use high heels sometimes in my performances, especially in circus. But I remember when I was graduating from the circus school, I told my teacher, my main teacher, oh, I would like to have a character, my second act. I would like to be a character with a dress and with the high heels. And he told me, no way. Because the school is trying to sell the acts for something very commercial. For the macho needs to look like macho and the girl needs to look like girl, something like that. And I was like, no, but that's my second act. I can do something that is come from my heart and put a little bit of myself in that. So he didn't allow me really. So I was like, oh well. He was from Cuba, and in Cuba it was more conservative or more traditional in that way, with the creativity, I think. I was trying just to show something different, because no many men were doing things in high heels in my city at that time, to be honest, no, without wanting to be drag queen or something like that. I just wanted to introduce a high heel into my performance, to show something based on my experience. That's it, simple, because I'm an actor, because I wanted to embody that kind of character. So not allowed. But when I was in London, then in the cabaret, then it was great, because still that was the problem of you macho have to be macho, but there is a way of twisting things. So I did a couple of versions of my acts, being a bit, I call it androgynous. I was a little bit androgynous. I was wearing heels, being a little bit macho, but with that twisted, maybe using some lipstick. So that was great for me to be allowed to do that on stage. And actually people love it, to see a man on high heels jumping and spinning and doing that. And I said, that's what I wanted to do, and why not? So I have some actually problems. I don't mind to say name. I remember I was performing in the Café de Paris, until that moment in the Café de Paris, all the men that were doing the main role, they were main character. Sure. So one day I joined the Café de Paris, and I just turned with a piece of music that was the same length of the music I was using for the macho act. And then I did an act completely different, and people love it. And they, at the end, it was crazy, the audience, but then they never hired me again in the Café de Paris. But you know what? 2 or 3 years after, it was this guy that came from somewhere, and then he started doing high heels, a lot of high heels or twisted, and I'm quite happy, because I don't want to say that I was the first one, but I was the sort of the one that wasn't a drag queen, but I was doing something on high heels or queer or different into whatever scheme that they were already made, So I don't know. You ask me questions, because I want to stop.
So and look where we went. Look at the journey you took us on. I followed every moment of that with real interest, and I'm so grateful that you're speaking to your lived experience, and thank you for taking us back to 60-year-old Diego as well. That was
I never showed that picture.
Well, hello world. I think that's delightful. Well, why don't we just go ahead and look at your piece, because I think that I know the title of your piece, right? Your piece is, well, why don't you give us the title of your piece that you've shared for us for Circus Talk?
I don't really have a title.
Right. Okay.
Maybe why not? To be or queer or not to be, or something like that. I was playing with those words. I think queer or not to be, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that will be the title.
Okay. Well, we'll just let that we'll just let that ride for a moment. So we'll if the technology allows us to do it, I will click on the share screen and we will go on this journey with you. So I'm looking forward to it. And once again, for those of you who are watching us, about 3 minutes of Diego's work. such playfulness, and yet really strong images that ask us to be awake. We have to be awake. We're called to pay attention to what the playfulness is telling us. So, and I'm wondering, with that in mind, what are you trying to tell us here? Do you have a message, or do you really want to tell us we're having fun?
Yeah, I can speak a little bit about that video. We found many material, many let's say ideas, or it was a synchronicity. If I can say that word, I don't know if that word is right or not.
Yep, good word.
It was really funny because everything, I was really connected with what I made this video, because I went to that place. I asked a friend to help me with the camera, because I did it with my iPhone. I didn't have any other person to help me. I was thinking I might use a tripod. I don't have a tripod. So, and I really wanted to do the homework, you know. I could have put an old video from my life in London, but I think it was really great when I took the decision. I nearly didn't make it, and I made it at the end. So we found so many images and things that were connected to what I wanted. Uh, all the images are not in the video, but they're really powerful. Like we found a football balloon ball like broken, and I was playing with that a little bit, and it reminds me that when I was little, I was pushed to play football and sometimes being hit because I wasn't acting as a boy or whatever. So that was really close to me. It was a whole journey, and then we found two high heels because I didn't have my high heels here. They are still in London because of the pandemic.
Right,
So we
right.
found two high heels standing there in that kind of dirty place. So I play a little bit with them. So it was a lot of images that we didn't put in the video, but what was the idea about the high heel that I know it's a cliche, but the high heel and in some moments I'm dancing and I'm putting my speedos up to show that my leg can be longer. So it's the idea of what we need to be bigger or taller to make ourselves sound or hear. You know why we need to be, always go up into something like girls or put makeup or to be heard. So that was the main reason I choose, and I keep using the high heel, and I love the high heels though. But my question to I say why we need to use it. It's not that I'm gonna stop using it because I love it. I love the high heels, but I'm using them conscious, very conscious about what I'm using them. No because I need to be her and I need to be taller or maybe go my high heels to be her. No at all. But there is a question about that. Why we need to go into that ladder to be bigger to be her, you know. So that was the whole thing about this video, and that day was amazing, and we did everything on one shoot. So if anything didn't work, like burning the paper, so it was only one. I
Right.
only had one paper painted, and it was only one opportunity, and it worked. It really worked, and my friend she made a great edit of this video, and I'm happy with it. And yeah, I was I really wanted more in the video, but we cannot put everything in there. So I really happy with what we did in such a short time.
I,
Yeah.
I think you have exactly every reason to be happy, every reason to be happy. And the yes, yeah, I was caught, I was captivated, I was struck, and I knew it wasn't just about play. So thank you for taking us through that. Shall we bring Mari back? And we will look at each other, all three of us. And now Mario's back. So those of you who may be watching us now, then off camera, is that we now have all three of us together. We've now experienced each other for a significant amount of time. Also, I should let our viewers know that we had a brief rehearsal moment to make sure that we could see each other and that everything was working. And I knew that a good conversation could happen. So with that in mind, do you have a question of each other? Maybe that's where I want to start. Yeah, so Diego, maybe, do you have a question for Maré? Do you have a question for Maré?
Um, Actually, the question that come up with watching the video, I watched it before, but I'm now watching it again. It's like I know it's already hard to be different and to be queer. Let's call it queer. But how is it in your city to be queer and black and to be doing circus? How is it? Is there still a lot of discrimination or bullying or stuff like that? Because it is a lot in my city, my country, where I left my country years ago. But I don't know how is in Brazil. about that. And sometimes it's really hard because a lot of bullying, dark skin color people against to dark skin color people, which is even worse, you know? So that's what I'm asking. I don't know if you still feel that same level of bullying. Or...
And so here in Brazil, I think the problem of being like a Black person on Circus or a queer person or on Circus is like the accessibility on the spaces, like training spaces, because sometimes people like this can't be like just chilling and training, you know. Sometimes we find some kind of prejudices, or maybe we are not like so comfortable on the spaces. And but I think like the biggest problem is the find place to work, you know, because in Brazil, in Circus, we work a lot with festivals and encounters, and sometimes, like the most of the times, like the people that are organizing, like on the organization of these festivals, they choose the participants. And sometimes these people are like white, straight men, you know, cis men, and they invite their similars. They invite the other straight, white men. And it's difficult even for women, like even for white women to be on this place, but now it's a little better for them. And for Black people and queer people is always like one. So we have like a cabaret with 15 artists. So they choose, like they invite one Black person, one queer person, and that's it, you know, like just to say that there's a diversity, but we see that there's no diversity. So I think this is the biggest problem for people like me, or people like with some kind of difference, if I can say this, you know, like for different people.
I want the world to hear your words. Thank you, Maré, and thank you, Diego, for launching us
Say
into
something
that
quick
question.
to complement that. Can I say something quick to
Yes,
complement
please.
that? Yeah, I was asking that because I remember, you know, we used to do in Colombia the classic Cirque du Soleil act, like sort of Cirque du Soleil, the male, female on the silks flying. So it's always been, you know, portrayed as that kind of white man and white girl, that kind of, it's already throwing us into doing it that way. So I had a student, and she was from the last year, and I remember a black, beautiful, like African look, beautiful skin. So when she was flying up in the air, I remember this dark skin color guy from the city made this comment, and I was like, "Oh, she looked like a vulture, or how you call that those black animals." And I was like, "There is no beauty in those black animals. What are you talking about?" I mean, we are an the capital of the, you know, Afro-descendant capital of South America, and someone in our city, from our city, with skin color as well, making that comment, that it really hurt me. And we did the show and the act, and she made all the positions, you know, perfectly, the ballet positions perfectly, but it was such a, they always were choosing the girls to do the act that were more like, you know, when you are like more like my color with the lights, you look a little bit lighter or whiter. So putting a black person there with a hair like yours, which was beautiful, it was hard for the producers. And the producers, of course, they were rich people, you know, from, and it was always hurting me, the fact that they were always choosing girls that had that kind of look. And Circus isn't like that. So, but it's still happening to this in Circus, you know, in Circus productions, it still happens. So that was what I was asking too.
Yeah.
And to be gay in Colombia, black and gay is like is bad. you know, we have a black city, like it has a port called Buenaventura, and like to be gay there is like there's a lot of bullying, you know. And if you want to be gay, you have to be like a drag queen or hairdresser or something like that, completely but you cannot be just gay and be normal or be a little bit calm. No, it cannot be in the middle. It have to be or there, or they will accept it, but you have to be like over the top. And that's a little bit like, no, it's not like that. Some people feel okay like that, but some people might feel good just being.
Wow, right. So I'm hearing multiple levels of censorship and exclusions and formations of specific aesthetics that have particular traditions that have a tradition of exclusion, and that's thank you for those words. Thank you for those words. That's part of the reality of creation. Whoa. Oh, Maré, maybe now to go somewhere else. Maybe do you have a question for Diego at this stage after you've seen our work together?
Yes, I do. And Diego was thinking about like in Colombia, I know that you have a really strong culture, right? I have a friend that lives there. She's Colombian, and I went to Colombia in 2017, and I saw like how strong your culture are there, and this is really beautiful to see. So I would like to know if in circles arts you see like circles arts from artists from Colombia, if you see people putting that your culture on the presentations on the work, like if you have like when people on circles on Colombia, if they are doing and showing their culture with the circus arts, you know.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, my circus school, we do some years when we preparing the exams and everything. We make like most are very folkloric. We call it for the folk. When we say folkloric, it's like it's part of our culture. We use some of our music or our traditions or things that are close to us, and then in the last years we choose whatever we feel like be a little bit more European or in the music or more creative or more classical or whatever. But there is some years or some semesters like that we actually use our especially my city, our black culture, because my city has a very strong you know, there's a lot of people there that they're actually more African than even the Africans because we got a strong culture. There's some people, the black people, that actually speak proper all Spanish. So they get that kind of culture exactly as it is, and it's very rich if you get to discover the music is so beautiful. So I'm very lucky and I love it. I love the music. But sometimes black people are a little bit racist with me because I got, funny enough, I got you know, like 30% of white, 30% of native Indio, we call it, and 30% of black. My grandfather was black, so I got a lot of black. So, but I love black culture and black music, and sometimes like I cannot love it too much because I'm not too dark enough or too curly enough. So if you see my hair is wavy. It's not completely like a native, but I'm proud of being native as well. So it's that kind of discrimination between us as well. Like sometimes it's like, oh my God, just let me be how I'm identified with whatever I want to be identified. You know, I love the black music in Colombia. It's just beautiful.
Wow, 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 wow. So much that I think the world needs to hear. Maybe that's where I want to maybe close because I'm watching this time and I could keep talking to you both for days, for weeks, for years. But maybe a question that I should ask you now, maybe you just gave me that inspiration, Diego. How is it that you might ask people who don't identify as different, right? How they can join us in this work? how can they be our allies? How can they come to your art and help us all celebrate your specific creations and your specific realities? That makes sense? That's a long question. So Diego, I'll start with you. Yeah, Diego.
When I understood, it's like, I don't want anyone to be like, to say, oh, I love queer, or I love queer art, oh, we are queer friendly or whatever. No, I would love a world where the people are kind, with each other, and has their hearts open to accept and to kind of see things that might look different, but who say that the difference is not that person instead of us? Because I say I was different, but probably I wasn't different. Probably I was more free than those people. So who knows? So just being kind, because there's a lot of people. I don't know if you heard the news about that, what happened in Spain a few months ago, this guy that was murdered just because he was different, and the same in England. So it's nothing to be with, actually in Colombia we get a lot of bullying, but in here they get killed. So this is in the same level of any other countries in Africa or whatever, Middle East, that you can say, oh, being gay, that is so hard. I've been in Russia, in Moscow, and I was fine. I enjoyed it. They were very respectful with me, actually, and I was gay, and I went to a gay disco club. So sometimes we make, these countries, but here is a lot of people very traditional and very strict as well. And in England, I live in England, and I can feel it. Sometimes you cannot really be yourself. It's just being kind, with each other.
Kindness. I'm going to join you in that desire. Maré, this might be, you have our last word of the interview. So let us hear something.
I think that besides kindness, I think people that have access, like white people, straight people that have more access to education, formation, to the techniques, to the money that makes the festivals, I think these people should maybe take a step behind. I think it's more than join us on the team. I think sometimes these people need to understand their privilege and just take off the scene so other people can be at the scene, like just share more their privilege and their space, because I don't think that just invite one Black person in one queer person is like solving the problem of diversity on the spaces. I think sometimes people need just to be outside to other people shine and be there.
Or adding one queer person into a show is not making it like, oh, we need to be, we need to add one Black person. You're actually very right in what you say, now. It's just let the things be the way they want to be, but in a good way, in a kind word, in an equal way, something like that, be more equal with each other. I don't know, because I understand what you mean. But that is everywhere, it's not only there, it's here, it's in London, and it's in Colombia. So now that I've been living abroad, I can see like, it's not much difference. Actually, we got a lot of bullying in Colombia, but we also get very hard things in here. And when you're an immigrant, it's even worse, So we have to keep fighting and with the heads up and yeah.
It's true. We didn't have that conversation about. We didn't have that conversation. We're going to have that conversation. We have to have that conversation at another moment. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for the journey, for the art, for the creativity, for your presence, for your generosity, for the beauty of all that you give to us. I want to thank you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.